Today we're headed to Kansas State University, also known as KSU, Kansas State, or K-State, that's located in Manhattan, Kansas. Established in 1863 as the state's first land-grant college, it holds the distinction of being Kansas's first public higher learning institution. There are roughly about 25,000 students who attend K-State. There are a number of different academic offerings in the school's 9 colleges, with some of those notable industries being the College of Veterinary Medicine here on the campus of K-State in Manhattan, as well as the College of Technology and Aviation in Salina, Kansas. There are also about 65 different master's degree programs, along with 45 doctoral programs. As we go through the campus tour today, we'll learn a little bit more about the campus as well as some of the buildings, including this first one that we see, which is Anderson Hall. Commonly called the main college building, Anderson Hall houses the Office of the President, Office of Admissions, as well as other administrative offices. Constructed in 1879, Anderson Hall is one of the oldest structures on the entire Kansas State University campus. It's also a building that's registered on the National Register of Historic Places. Originally designed as the practical agricultural building, Anderson Hall served a variety of functions over the years, including housing a canteen, barber shop, a chapel, and much more. In 1965, the installation of a state-of-the-art electrically operated 98 bell carillon in the Anderson Hall Tower introduced the melodious chimes that resonate each hour across campus. The building's name pays homage to John Alexander Anderson, the school's second president, who held the position from 1873 to 1879. Established during the American Civil War on February 16, 1863, Kansas State University, initially known as Kansas State Agricultural College, emerged as a pioneering land-grant institution under the Morrill Act. It holds the distinction of being the first land-grant college established under this act and stands as the oldest public institution of higher learning in Kansas. It's also the third oldest school in the Big 12 Conference. To our right is Eisenhower Hall, which today houses the Modern Languages Department, as well as International and Area Studies program and some pre-health professional programs. This building was constructed in 1951 and is named after Dr. Milton Eisenhower, the 9th president of Kansas State University. Dr. Milton Eisenhower was also the brother of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He became president of the university in 1943 and served 7 years as president. Ahead of us, we're walking towards Houghton Hall, which was constructed in 1900. About $25,000 was appropriated by the state legislature for an agricultural building on K-State campus in 1900. While this building originally hosted agricultural and dairy classes, an eventually remodel would turn it into the home of the K-State Department of Education. Student Services and Administrative Offices took over the building in 1989 after a multi-million-dollar interior renovation raised through student fees. The building is named after Professor E. L. Holton, who worked in sociology and education before becoming head of the Department of Education here on K-State. The building that we see here on our right, Bluemont Hall, that looks like it was going under some renovation while this video was being filmed, is home to the College of Education as well as the Department of Psychology. Bluemont Hall was named in honor of Bluemont College, the forerunner of Kansas State University. It was constructed in 1981 and named in honor of Bluemont College, which was that first forerunner to K-State. In front of the building sits a cast iron Bluemont bell that was donated by Joseph Ingalls in 1861. This building on our right is Dickens Hall, which houses the Department of Philosophy as well as the Department of Statistics. If you ever have a chance, go inside this building. There's a beautiful grand staircase with carved oak accents inside. Dickens Hall was built in 1908 and originally served as home for the departments of horticulture, botany, as well as plant pathology. Greenhouses that were formerly located north of Dickens were demolished in the 1980s to make room for the biochemistry building, which we'll see here in just a bit. Dickens Hall is named for Albert Dickens, who worked in the Department of Horticulture from 1899 to 1930. Sitting just to the west of Dickens Hall is Hale Library. This beautiful award-winning library has an architectural design that showcases a seven-arch loggia entrance as well as towers that are adorned with finials that reach heights of 6 and 7 stories tall. We'll see in a little bit as we get to the other side of the building, but originally the library was christened Farrell Library in honor of Francis David Farrell, the university's 8th president. That building itself was constructed in 1927, while the building that we see here in front of us right now was constructed quite a bit later. The first session of classes began on September 2nd, 1863 here at K-State. The university distinguished itself as only the second public institution of higher learning in the United States to admit women and men equally. The initial enrollment back in 1863 had 52 students, evenly split between the genders. In 1875, 12 years after its inception, the university relocated its main campus from the original Bluemont Central College site to its present location that we see today. The early years were marked by debates over the educational focus, with discussions revolving around whether the college should prioritize agricultural education or offer a comprehensive liberal arts curriculum. The tenure of college presidents influenced the direction exemplified by President John A. Anderson, preference for a limited education, as well as President George T. Fairchild, who advocated for a classic liberal education. Notably, in 1873, Kansas State University played a pivotal role in advancing the academic teaching of home economics for women. Today, the campus is known for its wide and broad range of degrees, but very well known for specializing in agriculture education. Built in 1988, the chemistry and biochemistry building houses the biochemistry and chemistry departments, as well as has a number of different classrooms, teaching resources, and library resources inside. We're now looking at Willard Hall, which we'll also get another view here a little bit later on during our tour. But Willard Hall is home to the Department of Art and houses a student art gallery as well. Following a fire at the old Dennison Hall in 1934, this building underwent reconstruction and received a new name. The name honors Dr. J.T. Willard, who served K-State in several capacities, including active president for 2 months following the resignation of H.G. Waters in 1917. King Hall, which we see here, contains laboratories, demonstration rooms, classrooms, and offices for the Department of Chemistry. There's been a connection between the two buildings, between the chemistry and biochemistry building and King Hall, that opened up in 1988. King Hall is named in honor of Professor Herbert H. King, who took over as head of the Department of Chemistry in 1918. This newer building that we see in front of us is the Leadership Studies building. This is home to the Staley School of Leadership Studies, and this building contains a lecture hall, classrooms, resource library, as well as a coffee house. Spanning about 36,000 square feet, with a budget of about $11 million to construct, this building is a striking modern addition to the campus. Notably, the entire building was funded by private donors, highlighting a community commitment to the development. The design of the building prioritizes eco-friendliness, and it incorporates features that reduce water and energy uses. Schellenberger Hall is home to the Department of Grain Science and Industry, as well as the International Grains Program. Constructed in 1860, Schellenberger Hall emerged as a replacement for the milling department's equipment and facilities, which had succumbed to a massive fire 3 years earlier. The hall bears the namesake of Professor John A. Schellenberger, who assumed the role of the milling department in 1944. Before his tenure at K-State University, Schellenberger held faculty positions at the University of Idaho as well as the University of Minnesota. His expertise extended internationally as he served as a consultant to the Argentinian government. Under Schellenberger's leadership spanning nearly 26 years, the milling department at K-State witnessed the inception of numerous new programs, marking a period of significant growth and development. Waters Hall Annex that we see here on our right is an extension of Waters Hall. We'll see Waters Hall in just a little bit. This particular building houses the College of Agriculture and the Entomology, Political Science, as well as Economic departments. Home to numerous research labs, Cardwell Hall houses the Department of Physics and Department of Mathematics. Cardwell Hall was built in 1963 and is named in honor of Dr. A.B. Cardwell, former head of K-State's Department of Physics in the 1930s. Ahead of us is Burt Hall. This building offers hands-on research as well as design opportunities for K-State scholars. It houses many of the K-State research labs. Built in 1923, Burt Hall initially functioned as a veterinary clinic specializing in surgical procedures for large animals. It also facilitated clinical research and instruction. The building has the name of Dr. James H. Burt, a dedicated member of the university faculty who began his service here on campus in 1909. Dr. Burt contributed significantly to the College of Veterinary Medicine for over 37 years. After going through a fire in 1946, Burt Hall underwent an extensive remodeling effort, and many upgrades were carried out in the 1980s. Ahead of us is Water Halls. It's home to the College of Agriculture, as well as several departments within the College of Arts and Sciences. Leisure Hall houses the Department of Gender, Women, as well as Sexuality Studies, along with the Department of American Ethnic Studies. The building itself was constructed in 1908 and originally provided space for the veterinary medicine as well as the bacteriology departments. The building's name honors Dr. E. Leisure, I hope I'm saying that right, or Leisure, who served as Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine and retired from K-State after 38 years. As mentioned, with Hale Library, this portion of the building that we're looking at here is the old portion that was constructed back in the 1920s. It's quite a beautiful building, both inside and outside. On our right is a building that houses the Department of English as well as counseling services. This building once housed a health center, but that health center moved off campus to Mercy Regional Health Center back in 2004. We're now looking at Regner Hall, which is also part of the Seton Regner Hall complex. The College of Architecture, Planning, and Design stands as an exquisite blend of historic building that we see here, and in just a little bit, we'll see the more modern version. Inside are classrooms, studios, educational resources, and many, many more types of activities for student learning. Constructed in 1876, Holtz Hall initially served as the residence for the Department of Chemistry. Over the years, its purpose expanded to include housing counseling services, as well as at one time a women's gymnasium. The building's namesake, Doc Holtz, left an enduring legacy for his informal guidance to students on matters related to career, finance, as well as personal issues. Doc Holtz dedicated 35 years to K-State when he began service and teaching in 1919. During his tenure, he played dual roles as a teacher as well as a freshman football coach, leaving a lasting impact on the university community. This complex here we're looking at is part Seton Hall and part Regner Hall, but Seton Hall itself serves several K-State academic departments, principally the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design. Beginning with the construction of the original East Wing in 1909, Seton Hall underwent several expansions with two additional wings added in 1922 and in 1959. Today, these wings envelop a substantial interior court that we see today here, which provides a great place for studying and relaxation for students. The building takes its name from Dr. Roy A. Seaton, an alumnus of Kansas State College who graduated in 1904. Dr. Seaton's academic journey began as an assistant in mathematics, and by 1906 he transitioned to the Department of Mechanical Engineering. His career continued to ascend, and in 1920 he assumed the roles of Dean for the Division of Engineering and Architecture, as well as Director of the Engineering Experiment Station. We're now heading towards one of the central hubs of student life here on K-State. First off is the Bosco Student Plaza, a great place to study and just hang out. And then that building that we see in front of us is the more modern K-State Student Union that houses numerous student organizational offices, has a retail and bookstore, many dining options, and there's even a bowling alley inside the building. Serving as a vibrant hub with an estimated about 12,000 daily visitors, the Union has established itself as a central element in the campus social scene. The Union Program Council plays a pivotal role in orchestrating a wide range of social and educational events throughout the year, including screenings of recently released movies. Ahead of us are four buildings related to the engineering department, all kind of interconnected together: Rathbone, Fiedler, Engineering, as well as Derlin Halls. Most of these buildings were completed in 19 early or mid late 1970s. Rathbone in 1982, And the newer halls, Fiedler Hall in the year 2000 and Engineering Hall was the last hall constructed in 2015. Constructed in 1951, Ahearn Fieldhouse marked a significant improvement in facilities for basketball as well as indoor track events, which were previously hosted in Nichols Hall. This versatile venue provided invaluable space for large-scale events such as concerts and indoor commitments before the completion of McCain Auditorium as well as Bramlage Coliseum. In 1988, basketball games transitioned to Bramlage Coliseum, prompting Ahearn Fieldhouse to undergo a pretty extensive renovation to accommodate activities like volleyball, track, and many others. The Fieldhouse itself pays tribute to Michael F. Ahearn, a distinguished figure at K-State who served as a professor, coach, director of athletics, and department head of physical education. Speaking of sports here at K-State, they began their intercollegiate sports journey in the 1890s. The university sports team, known as the Wildcats, actively participate in the NCAA Division I and compete within the Big 12 Conference. Distinguished by the official school color, royal purple, Kansas State stands out as just one of a few institutions with a single official color. Complementary colors such as white and sometimes silver are also commonly used, with white predominantly featured among purple in the university's fight song, Wildcat Victory. Kansas State University also holds a historical significance in the realm of athletics. African American athletes at the university played a pivotal role in breaking the modern color barrier within Big Seven Conference athletics. Harold Robinson emerged as the first African American athlete in the conference in over 2 decades, earning the distinction of being the first recipient of a scholarship while playing football for Kansas State in 1949. Subsequently, in the spring of 1951, Earl Wood shattered the conference's baseball color barrier, and during the winter of 1951-1952, Gene Wilson, along with Levine's Squires at the University of Kansas, broke the conference color barrier in basketball. These trailblazing athletes left an indelible mark on the history of sports here at Kansas State University. Constructed in the 1920s, Memorial Stadium stands as a solemn tribute to the students and alumni who made the ultimate sacrifice during World War I. Dedicated in 1929, it was the first memorial erected on campus. Symmetrical plaques honoring veterans can be found on the south ends of both West Stadium as well as East Stadium. The beginnings of the stadium started around 1922 that was driven by university leaders' desire to create an architectural shrine that commemorated fallen soldiers. Recognizing the symbolic power of a stadium, they envisioned a structure that would serve as both a courageous reminder as well as a practical asset for the college and the community. The west wing was completed in 1922, followed by the east wing in 1924. The enclosing walls were added in 1928 with the construction of locker rooms and offices in 1938. In 1967, university football games relocated from Memorial Stadium to what was then KSU Stadium. Today, the stadium finds renewed purpose as a venue for marching band practice, club soccer, as well as rugby. The Morris Family Multicultural Student Center stands as a central hub for intercultural learning, as well as several collaborative initiatives that create a space that encourages exploration and engagement. The center serves as a welcoming platform for individuals of diverse cultures, backgrounds, and identities that delve into their cultural origins, allow them to participate in meaningful cross-cultural interactions, and expand their perspectives. The center firmly rejects racism, homophobia, xenophobia, and all other forms of discrimination. Students can meet with their personal financial aid advisor here inside Fairchild Hall. Erected in 1894, this building cost about $70,000 and is a stately edifice with a great history. A modest addition occurred in 1903 when a second story was constructed on the building's southern end. Initially designated as the Library and Agriculture Science Hall, it served this purpose until the library moved to the north wing of Hale Library in 1927. Home to the School of Journalism, Kedzie Hall houses student publication labs for the K-State Collegian Daily student newspaper, as well as the Royal Purple Yearbook. The building itself was constructed in 1897 and originally served as a domestic science hall dedicated to the study of domestic economy. The Kansas State Legislature appropriated $16,000 for the construction of the building, the first time in America that a building was primarily built for home economics department. The building itself pays homage to Nellie Kedzie, the first woman professor at Kansas State Agricultural College, and serves as a lasting tribute to her pioneering contribution to the university's academic landscape. The building here that we see in front of us is Calvin Hall, and it's the home to the College of Arts and Sciences. In the past, it has also housed the College of Business Administration as well as the College of Home Economics. Calvin Hall is dedicated to the memory of Henrietta Willard Calvert, a trailblazing home economist who stood as one of the nation's prominent figures in her field. An early graduate of Kansas State Agricultural College in domestic science in 1886, Calvin subsequently became a professor in the field, which now has evolved into human ecology. The building itself was constructed in 1908 and cost about $70,000 to complete. Today, it houses the College of Business Administration. In addition to housing several arts and science departments, Nichols Hall features a theater, dance studio, and much more. The building itself dates back to 1911 and originally served as the home for the physical education as well as military science departments. Reflecting the agricultural trends of its time, the building was designed to resemble a castle, aligning itself with the tradition for structures utilized by the ROTC programs. In addition to its military and physical education functions, Nichols Hall once housed a swimming pool in the basement, a radio broadcasting studio on the top floor, and provided space for the Department of Music. The building itself is named after Dr. Ernest Nichols, a former head of the Department of Physics and president of K-State in the early 20th century. This large building that we see here in front of us that we're going to walk around is McCain Auditorium. It's home to the Kansas State Music Department as well as the McCain Performance Series. The auditorium itself dates from the 1970s, 5 years after a fire destroyed the first structure that once stood on this site. That original auditorium was built in 1904 to seat about 2,000 people, but was destroyed in a fire in 1965. The auditorium name honors Dr. James A. McCain, who retired in 1975 after 25 years as university president. Known as popular wedding venues, Danforth Chapel and All Faith Chapel features some very unique architectural designs as well as charm. Both the inside of this building are memorials to K-Staters who have lost their lives in war. Danforth Chapel itself was constructed in 1949 and owes its existence to the generous contributions of Mr. and Mrs. William Danforth. The chapel itself was dedicated to General Dwight D. Eisenhower in honor of K-State war casualties. All Faith Chapel, dedicated in 1956, serves as a memorial to K-State family members who lost their lives in World War II and the Korean War. Thompson Hall is home to the Department of Geology. Its halls contain unusual artifacts like meteorites as well as a woolly mammoth's tusk. Constructed in 1922 during President William A. Jardine's administration, Thompson Hall was originally constructed for the purpose of instructing institutional management. Reflecting Italian Renaissance-inspired architecture, the building features these arched windows, a low-pitched roof, and very detailed colonnade entrances. The building itself is named in honor of Dr. Helen B. Thompson, who served as the Dean of the Division of Home Economics from 1918 to 1923. The building stands as a testament to her leadership and contributions to the university during her tenure in the Division of Home Economics. The final building that we'll see on our tour here on K-State University is the Beach Art Museum. Actually, the official name is the Mariana Kessler Beach Museum of Art, and the building itself was inaugurated in October of 1966. The building itself owes its establishment largely to a substantial $3 million gift from Ross and Marion Beach, both of who were alumni of K-State. Ross Beach orchestrated the generous donation as a tribute to his wife on the occasion of their 50th wedding anniversary. I hope you've enjoyed this campus tour of K-State University here in Manhattan, Kansas. If you are a K-State graduate, make sure to leave a comment on some of your experiences that you had while in school, as well as making sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Take care now. Bye-bye.